Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Bowls Victoria training webinar. My name's Matt Tobre. I'll be your presenter for today. Today we're looking at the COPs, so we're going to unpack the statewide and the metro midweek and weekend COPs. Joining us today as our guest is Neil Smiley. If I can get Neil to jump on. Afternoon, Neil.
Hi, Matt. Fine afternoon.
It is. I hope you've been brushing up on your COPs.
Yes.
We've got plenty of visuals, don't worry. I'm a visual learner, Neil, and we'll go through it all today with everyone.
Good.
Just a slide here just to explain how webinars work. If this is your first webinar, welcome. A little bit different to the Zoom meetings that we're quite used to. First thing you'll notice is there's no videos, so we can't all see each other, unfortunately. It's a little bit like the cinema. You get to sit back and let Neil do all the work. No, I'll be helping you, Neil. You do have a Q&A option though. So at any time, if there's some questions that come to mind after some of the discussions or presentations that Neil and myself have done, throw them in there because we will have a look at them later on, discuss them. Also, just a reminder, this Friday, like we've been doing with our other 3 webinars, we'll be streaming this live to YouTube at 10 a.m. So let your other members know who couldn't join us today, and you have the chance there to ask some more questions and I'll answer them live Friday. Here's our agenda. It's not as jammed. I'm sure this is going to take us a while to get through it, Neil. So first thing we're going to look at is the difference between an umpire, side manager and controlling body. Neil's then going to just talk about the different sections in the COP, and then we're going to discuss the big changes because there's quite a few. We'll then look at some commonly misunderstood COPs that some of our clubs still struggle with. Don't forget to put your questions in there. We'll have a section there where Neil and myself will discuss those, and I'll finish with how you can get some support at Bowls Victoria. All right, Neil, let's look at the 3 roles there and how they're different.
Yeah, well, the difference. Do you want to do the structure first, Matt? Or was that?
We can do that.
Right.
Do you want to go through? Yeah, we can go through the structure of the COPs and then come back to the roles. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. Section 1 of the conditions of play applies to all pennant played statewide. Section 2 is a guideline for metropolitan pennant, but it can also be used as a guide for regions and playing areas. As with sections 3, which is midweek metro, and section 4 is weekend metro, and they can be used as a guide for the regions and playing areas to develop theirs for their particular pennant in that particular case. If we go back to the roles of the umpire, basically in the application of the laws of the game, doing any measures and disputes, and resolves any matters that side managers can't agree on. There are a number of conditions where the managers need to agree. If they can't, then the umpire resolves that matter. The side manager should be aware of the Bowlsley operation.
The result process. Yep.
Yeah, the results process in particular. The draw of the cards and actions they act on behalf of the side. Just to add a little bit there with live scoring, that controlling body would need to resolve any disputes. Sorry, I've jumped ahead there to controlling bodies, but the side managers need to put the results in as well. The controlling body is approval of substitutes, is responsible for the spectators and any other matters arising on the day, in particular during pre-Pennant practice.
I think the
that's about...
big message here, Neil, is that I know we're struggling for volunteers in our clubs, but you can't have a person at your club having multiple roles of these on the day. So you can't have someone who's side manager, also umpire, also controlling body.
Yeah, they're separate jobs. Basically you cannot have a person using either of multiple positions on those. And I think the coach can't be the side manager, I think it is. Anyhow.
Yep. So just a reminder there that, 3 different roles and they need to be a separate person.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into the big changes, and these are the statewide changes, Neil. So you'll see on the bottom left that my picture changes for when we talk about different parts. So here we're looking at the statewide changes that apply to all our 16 regions. First one's pennant permits, Neil.
Yes, well, all pennant permit applications and marquee players, of course, coming into that same category, need to be in before the first round, prior to the round 1. A club may register up to 3 players as pennant permit players per competition, who may be used in any division or side in both midweek and weekend pennant. A player cannot permit to the same club to play in both midweek and weekend pennant. They've got a primary club of where they're playing their pennant, and they are getting a permit to play with another club because their club may not have a competition, enter that competition, or in some cases, players just wish to play in another competition. In order to qualify for finals, the player who has a permit has to play 1.5 times the amount of games that a player with their own club plays. So in general for, say, Metro, where we're required to play 4 games in the competition, they require the permit players and marquee players need to play 6 games. If it was in the case of a region where there might be 3 games, then the permit player must play 5 games. So that's a big change this year.
Yep, and obviously the other one right at the top is we've gone from 4 to 3 now this year.
Yeah, yes. It's only 3 players instead of 4.
Still continuing on pennant permits, just another one there, Neil, that... sorry to interrupt. So it's about... Yeah, you go, Neil. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, the player can only apply for a permit for a maximum of 1 pennant, weekend pennant, and 1 midweek pennant. And
okay, so I think last year we had some players doing multiple ones. Now you're restricted to only 1 weekend and 1 midweek.
Yep.
Thanks, Neil. I'll move into protected events, and I think this is all about the nationals that are coming up in November. So where you have 2 or more players or BA appointed officials that are playing in the nationals, it's obviously a protected event. How do we solve that? So you can, by mutual agreement, the sides can agree to play without those players affected. Obviously, the big one there is mutual agreement. Then clubs are encouraged to find a suitable alternative date to avoid the clash. And if they can't agree there, then they BV or the relative region pennant committee will nominate a suitable date. So I think there'll be quite a few sides, Neil, where they've got 2 or more players.
Yep. Yeah.
Not sure about officials. That could also be in play.
Yeah. I think there's a number of officials from Victoria will be going over. And yeah, it's 2 or more players and appointed officials. And I think down the bottom there, yeah, the officials need to be taken into account.
Yep. So I'm sure clubs are already starting to think about this. The next one I'm going to look at relates to Bowls Link, which is one of my big areas. I think we've been finding that a lot of our games, they're not being finalised quickly enough. And we all know players, once they come off the green, they want to be able to see what those results are. And we had some clubs who it might be 12 p.m. the following day, we're still not finalising those matches. So we've now got in the statewide changes that results must be finalised by midnight on the day of play. And if that's not followed, it could result in fines, and it could also result in points deducted from that side. So I suppose this is a reminder, Neil, to make sure your Bowls Link is all up to date and you're ready to go.
Yep, and you've got people that are efficient in use of the Bowls Link.
Yeah, and we did our side manager webinar last week, and I'm a big advocate for our side managers doing all the Bowls Link responsibilities on the day.
Yep.
Next one's over to you, Neil. We're going to look at selection of sides.
Yes, there's a lot of discussion took place on this to come back to what we could clarify. Whether it is clear, I'm not quite sure. But basically, we're saying a player will not be named in more than one side in the same round of same pennant competition. But then you've got the situation where Prem Reserve are playing multiples on Friday and Saturday. So that sequence of rounds is completely changed. So basically it's one game in one weekend, I would like to say, as much as anything. You'll see it listed in the conditions of play. And if you've got the Prem and Prem Reserve side, then look at the conditions of play very closely so that you can see. We've tried to spell it out as best we can. I think there's the weekend of the 28th of November and weekend of the 30th of January are the ones that concerned more than anything with respect to this law, this condition.
Excellent.
I think that's about the best way of describing it, Matt.
Yeah, no, you've done well there. I think it all comes back to that you can't play in more than one side in the same round, but we're going to find that our rounds are on different weekends. So, yeah, have a really close read of that COP. Next one relates to me again about Bowls Link. Obviously, we've already started some training on this. Live scoring, I know we're all talking about it, and I think BV or Victoria are the leaders with live scoring in our pennant. So we've been able to progress weekend from Prem Reserve and Division 1. We're now pushing that to Division 2. So all Division 2 games will be live scored via the scoring app. And midweek, it's a big call. We're going to ask Division 1 to have a go of live scoring as well. And all other divisions will use, obviously, the paper scorecards, unless there's an agreement made to use the BA scoring app. This is a big call, Neil, and I think it's a great progression. Yes. And shows how well we are doing in Victoria with live scoring.
Yep.
My recommendation... Sorry, Neil, go.
I think that I had a problem last year with some of the finals, or one of the finals. It should be that the players that are using the live scoring are at the same end. I had a situation where on one rink, a skipper was doing it and the second from the opposition, and that caused confusion. So
Yeah.
it needs
From
to
what I've
be,
seen, Neil, I totally agree with you. It has to be players who are standing next to each other, hitting that submit button closely
yeah,
together.
it doesn't have to be the second. It
Yep.
could be a lead or the third. But as long as they're both from both teams at the same end.
It could even be your two skips, Neil.
Yeah, it could be.
Yep. They don't do much during the game. They can sit there and
No,
live score.
no.
But yeah, that's definitely the recommendation that you do it together.
Yeah, there's
And the other
no
recommendation here is you need to be doing this now in your practice matches. So don't leave it till round one and then suddenly throw live scoring onto your members. Do it in your practice matches. Give me a call or send me an email. Happy to set up that match so you can practice it and be ready for round one. Next one's some changes to the weather, Neil.
Yes, yes.
Big changes here.
This year, because of the situation that has occurred previously, BV have introduced the use of the forecast temperature, and the table there outlines it. For weekends, the forecast at 4 p.m. on Thursdays will give you an indication. If it's 35 or less, okay, go on with the game. 36 to 39, it will mean that there will be a 10 o'clock start on that particular day. And if it's if the forecast is 40 plus, then the match is abandoned. For midweek, similar sort of thing, but the forecast is taken at 10 a.m. on Monday. Now, by agreement, the team or the sides can alter that date. For example, instead of having 11 o'clock start midweek, by agreement, clubs could start at 10:30 if they wish to, in the normal situation. So that's under the situation there of how you can alter the starting times.
I think another big point here is, Neil, that BV will be the ones, and remember this is just Metro we're talking about here. Regional areas will decide their weather
have their own
process, but it's BV that check 4 p.m. Thursday and 10 a.m. Monday, and they'll have a look and they'll be advising clubs to go as normal, 10 a.m. start, or unfortunately an abandoned match.
Yep.
So I suppose the reminder here is make sure you've got your contact details sent into BV and you get all those important emails. Still continuing with weather, Neil.
Oh yeah. The temperature or the heat one seems to be as much a problem as anything. And clubs must use, the Bureau of Meteorology app for their relevant weather station, which is found by using the postcode of the club where the game's taking place. There are a couple of exceptions there, but in general, you use the postcode of the particular club at which you're playing. One thing that really needs to be pointed out is that once the temperature gets to 36, play must stop immediately, not complete the end, immediate, as you do for lightning. There was a number of clubs last year that continued on playing beyond 36. I think you should be aware that perhaps your insurance policies may not agree with you if something happens. May not if you play on beyond the 36 degrees, then you are leaving yourself open to the player maybe that's affected suing the club in that particular case. So make sure 36 degrees, play stops immediately, not completing the end.
And there's an exemption here for exists for these clubs here. They need to use the Scoresby weather station, and Whittlesea needs to use Viewbank.
Yep.
Clearly outlined in the COP, so have a look. All right, I'm going to talk about scheduling of games for sectional play. So this is a big change here. Midweek is moving to 11 a.m. start. That's also for 6-a-side and 7-a-side. That means the 2 trial ends need to be completed, 10:45, Neil? Game starts at 11. So it's moved up from 10:30 to 11. Obviously, same thing applies here with agreement of the opposing club's sectional games can be rescheduled. These games can take place at any time after the previous round, but must be completed by the next round. And an important one here, home sides must notify BV of any changes scheduled play, and those changes will get updated in BowlsLink to have the current information. Schedule breaks. This is referring to midweek, obviously. Schedule break of up to 30 minutes may be taken by agreement of side managers. As we all know, if they can't agree, schedule break will be taken at 12:30. But don't forget, if there's an agreement between both side managers, the break can be waived.
Well, that applies for weekend Pennant too.
Yeah, just remind me what time the weekend one is. Is that 20 to 3? 2:40.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think there's also in the COP, Prem and Prem Reserve can't break on a weekend.
Yeah. I think you're right there.
All right. There's been some big changes to finals, Neil. There's been plenty of discussion about this. Let's have a good look at them.
I hope that there's been plenty of discussion because there is a considerable change. I'll start with the weekend Prem and Prem Reserve. You'll notice that their finals are not being played at neutral venues. 1 and 2 plays, in addition, they're played at the side finishing higher on the ladder. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, the preliminary final will be at the venue of the losers of 1 and 2. So it's the losers of the semi-final. And the final for Prem and Prem Reserve will occur at a neutral venue on a particular date. For other sectional finals, you'll see that the sectional final for divisions 1 to 6 at midweek and 1 to 8 at weekend will be played at the winner of the semi-final between 1 and 2. So that's a considerable change.
Big change there.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's a big change, Neil.
Yeah. There is no divisional finals for 5 and 6 on midweek. At weekends, divisions 4 and 5, if we could have the next slide, the divisional quarterfinals, semi-finals and grand final will be played all on the one day at a venue to be determined by BV. These matches will only be 12 ends in length. That's at the time of the year. I think clubs need to be aware of that because, some elderly, including me, would find it difficult to play 3 games of 12 ends in a day. but that's what the situation is at the moment. And there is no divisional finals for divisions 6 to 8.
Some big changes. We might just quickly go through them again, Neil. You've done a great
Yep.
job there. So obviously midweek, no divisional finals for Divi 5 and 6. Big
Yep.
change here for Prem and Prem Reserve. I know last year they were at neutral venues. This year it's at the side finishing high on the ladder. So 1v2
Yep.
obviously played at 1, 3v4 played at 3. And then the prelim will be at the loser of 1v2. And
Yep.
the grand final will be at a neutral venue. But that's a big one here for sectional finals. Divis 1 to 6 for midweek and 6-a-side, and weekend Divi 1 to Divi 8 sectional final will be played at the winner of 1v2.
Yes. Yep.
Makes that 1v2 even more important, doesn't it, Neil?
It does. It does very much so.
Yep.
You're not going to a neutral venue any longer. You'll be played at the winner of that section semi-final, which is between 1 and 2 on the ladder.
And just that other reminder here, Division 4 and 5 for weekend, You've got a divisional day, basically, quarterfinal, semi-final, grand final, all played in the one day. At a venue to be determined by BV, and matches will be 12 ends. I hope that message has got through, Neil.
I hope so, mate. They're big changes to the finals. I mean, they're a long way off, but it's something.
Yeah, well, I know organised clubs are already starting to think about that.
Yep.
What we're going to move into now, Neil, so they were the changes for the statewide and then the metro, Pennant.
Yep.
Now we're going to look at some commonly misunderstood COPs. So the first one I'm going to look at here is interchanging of players between sides prior to finals. And I'm sure regions will have different requirements here, but basically what it's doing is it's stopping some of our clubs putting players down in those last 3 rounds. So as we know, for the last 3 rounds of Metro Pennant, no side will include more than 2 players who have played a majority, so it's 51% or more, of their games in higher graded sides. What we've got here is a couple examples that we'll go through. So player A, clearly majority of the games are in Divi 1. So that's someone that you need to be careful of in those last 3 rounds of dropping down. You can put that player down, but you just can't be can't be more than 2 of them. Player B clearly played between Divi 5 and Divi 7. They could come down to Divi 7 in those last 3 rounds and not count because they haven't played a majority in higher. It's equal there, 5 and 5. Player C, most of their games have been in Divi 5, so you want to be careful when you bring them down to Divi 7. Player D, again, most of their games are in Division 3, so they will count when you bring them down to Divi 5. Player E is an interesting one. They've got a bit more of a spread there, Neil, haven't they? 4 in Divi 3,
yes.
2 in Divi 5, and 4 in Divi 7.
So they can play in Division 7 or 5 without any restriction. Sorry, the other way around. They can play in 3 and 5 without any restriction, but to play in Division 7, they can be only one of the 2.
One of those 2, yep. And player F clearly has played most of their bowls in Divi 7, so they won't be a worry in those last 3 rounds.
No, they haven't. No, not at all. They won't be considered a player.
You will be amazed, Neil, how many clubs breach this COP. So in our side manager training, which we did early in the series, this is something that you need to look at probably halfway through the season, how many games your players have played and in what sides. So in those last 3 rounds, you're not breaching this COP.
Yeah, don't
Eligi-
leave it till after Christmas.
no, not at all. This one's yours, Neil.
There's
Eligibility to
only,
play in finals.
yeah, this is makes it a bit hard. But you take player A, um, player A can only play in the Prem Reserve finals, as he played. Oh, sorry. Uh, yes, he can't play in Division One because he's only played two there and two down below. Oh, sorry. If let's look at that again.
We'll start again, Neil. Let's have a look at
Yeah,
player A.
start
So,
again there. Because he's played four or more in that side or below, that player can actually play in Division One finals. Not if he's a permit player, because a permit player requires to be played six or more in that division or lower.
yep,
So
let's have a look at player B.
player B in that particular case has only played one game higher than Division One, so he can play there. Um, and he's played for Division One, he's okay. For Division Two, in that particular case, he's played six games above, and he's played the four games
No, we're
below.
looking at finals here, Neil. So, eligibility to play finals. You've got to
Yeah,
play your four or more,
yeah.
and
Well,
you don't forget your lower graded sides can be combined.
yeah, but the Heights can too. So he could play Prem. Player B could play in the Prem Reserve.
Yep.
He could play in Division One.
Yeah, he's played five there.
Yep. In Division Two, he's played six above, and he's played three in that and one below, which means for a player from your own club, then he is eligible to play in Division Two, but not Division Three,
Yep.
unless he's a permit player or a
Yeah,
marquee
we've
player.
got to think about that in the back of our mind. Player C, what
Yes,
are they allowed to play?
and player C can play in Division Prem Reserve, can play in Division One, can play in Division Two, but not in Division Three, because they've only played three games in Division Three. I think that's right,
Player,
Matt.
yep, no, you're right there. And I suppose you're really
Yeah,
looking at the lower graded comps first to then work out where they
yeah, work,
qualified.
work it. Yeah, work out the way above.
Yep. So player
Um,
D,
player D, uh, he's played four or more games in Division One or Division Two, which means he can play in Division One, but not Division Two, and he can play in Prem in that particular case.
player E is an interesting one. I don't think you're going to see too many examples of this. Someone
No,
playing 10 in Prem Reserve and then going all the way down to Divi 3.
no,
Um, but would they be able to play in all of those
yep.
for finals?
They would be able to play in all those divisions because they've played four or more in Division Three, which means that in Division Two they've played in that or lower, and Division One in that or lower. So player E, I believe, can play in all four divisions there.
Yep. And obviously, if you're going to try and qualify them near the end of the season, Neil, you've got to be careful about that previous COP.
Yep, yep,
Again, our recommendation, don't start looking at this with 3 games to go. Have a look at maybe just after Christmas or halfway through, just to get a good idea of where your players are playing and how they're going to qualify for finals. The next one's
yeah.
about weather. Sorry,
I
go back.
think But clubs should be starting to think about it before Christmas, because there's only 5 games after Christmas.
Yeah, it's a good
And I
point.
think that you leave it till after Christmas, you're leaving it a bit too late.
I like it. All right. I'm going to do my best with this one, Neil. So this is obviously what I find some of our side managers struggle with is how to decide weather. And obviously our COPs are going to try and help you there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through each of the three. So start with heat, rain, and then finish with lightning. And what you've got underneath here, I like, is a bit of a table of how it all works. So a lot of this all starts with the side manager. And as we know, if they don't agree, it goes to the umpire. Then we have the difference between an interruption and a stoppage. So an interruption is a stop of play less than 10 minutes, and you can go out and finish the end. If the stop of play is greater than 10 minutes, it's a dead end and the end needs to be replayed. And obviously we know if your stoppage exceeds an hour, it's now an abandoned match. So heat, we've already gone through this. Obviously in metro, regional and plain areas, check your COP. So there'll be some advising things happening depending on the forecast. Let's say the forecast is 34, Neil. What would we do?
We play as normal.
Play as normal. On the day the temperature gets to 36, the new change is
we must
immediately stop the game.
36. Yep, immediately.
Yep. What the site managers need to do then is probably record the time, don't they, Neil?
Yeah, if they record the time that they called off, and for any dispute, that is.
Yep.
But I mean, it's simply a case of soon as it gets to 36, play stops.
Yep. And then obviously you're checking your app. If the temperature goes under 36, then you can come out and play. Probably a good chance that it's going to be a stoppage, isn't it? You're going to exceed that 10 minutes, I would think. Very unlikely.
Well, yeah, it's very unlikely.
But you could have a stoppage that goes 50 minutes. It drops back down because we know what Melbourne's weather can be like, can drop some degrees pretty quickly. And then you might not be facing that abandoned match. The other thing you need to bring into consideration here too is interrupted games have a time limit, don't they, Neil?
Yes, games must be completed by 6 o'clock now, I think, isn't it?
Yep, so it's 5 hours you've got to play that interrupted game.
Play the
if
game.
It's not interrupted, you can play until 9 o'clock if you've got your lights on. But if it's interrupted, you've got that 5 hours that you have to get that game played.
Completed.
I reckon rain. Completed. I reckon rain's the big one, Neil, isn't it?
Yes. Rain always causes hassles.
In our side manager training, John made a really good point. Players need to be prepared to play in rain. So as soon as it starts raining, it doesn't mean you come off, because you remember you've got your interruption and your stoppage. Be prepared to play. So bring your jacket, play. Obviously, the side managers need to agree that the green is too wet and unsafe. If they can't agree, it goes to an umpire. If the umpire agrees, then obviously we then start timing, record it, and if the stoppage exceeds an hour, abandoned match. And again, if the stoppage is 50 minutes and the weather's fine, the green is safe, you've got to get those ends played within the 5 hours. What we don't have on this slide is the amount of ends. We did do that in the side managers one. I'm pretty sure 16 players, it's 60 ends, isn't it, Neil?
Yes, 60 ends must be completed.
Yep. Right. The last one is lightning. We can occur during the day, obviously more likely at night. If you see a lightning strike, obviously you need to stop. And if the thunder is within 30 seconds of that strike, immediate stop of play and come off. You really need to probably go inside. And then we're stopped for 30 minutes. So that interruption doesn't come into play here. You are stopped. You'll need to replay. But what happens if we're stopped at the 20-minute mark, we get another lightning and thunder? We've got to restart that 30 minutes again, don't we, Neil?
Yep.
And that's where you're going to be close to the abandoned game.
Yeah. The times for interruptions for heat, rain, or lightning are not cumulative. In other words, you could have stop for 50 minutes, go back out and play, stop for another 30 minutes. It's not cumulative. It's only for each stoppage that exceeds 1 hour before it's abandoned.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point. And don't forget that 5 hours for interrupted matches.
Yeah. And completion means the completion of the end that's already started. So if after 5 hours there's a game going and a dead end occurs, it's
I was
got
going to
to
ask
be,
that, Neil.
you've got to be replayed that end, because the dead end does not complete an end.
Yep. I think we
So
had an example of this not long ago. So yeah, the 5 hours, you hit the 6 o'clock, the bell stops. You can obviously finish your end if you've rolled the jack, correct?
Yep.
If you get a dead
The
end,
end, the end starts when you roll the jack, and dead ends have to be replayed. So you could have 5 or 6 dead ends if you wish to, but you must replay those ends because that end has to be completed.
I think we've
So
done all right there,
clarify?
Neil.
No?
Not easy to deciding whether, but I think just breaking them up into to heat, rain, and lightning, and then having a look at that table at the below will give you a good indication of how to decide that weather on the day.
That's right.
All right, Neil, we are up to questions and answers. Hopefully we can provide all of them. There's been quite a few come in, Neil.
That's it.
Yeah.
I thought there might have been.
We got one about live scoring. Is there a live updated overall score and ends as they're completed during the games? The answer is yes. So this came into BowlsLink late last season, just probably after we finished our Pennant. So if you're in the result portal and you click on your round, you will see in there a live updated scoreboard. So it has the total, combining all the rinks, and also the number of ends played. Really good addition to the result portal.
But clubs still need to confirm those, don't they?
What do you mean, Neil? This is only live scoring, sorry.
Yeah, with the live scoring at the end of the day after the match, the home club has to confirm the results?
No, because the rinks complete them and they go straight into BowlsLink. So there's no problem of getting that in by that 12 midnight. What that question was about was, I suppose, if you're not playing on that day and you wanted to see what was happening in a game, you don't have to go into each of those rinks individually. You can get a scoreboard just in your result portal for the match. Next one's about how do you live score when mobiles are not allowed, Neil?
A good question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, obviously, we've allowed that to occur. We hope that it is only used for live scoring, not finding the race results or whatever.
Yep. So I suppose the answer there is it's in the COP. So you are allowed to have your phone on the green. Obviously, as Neil mentioned, it's for scoring, not for checking updates. The next one is, when do electronic scoring, when you're doing it, do you also have to complete a paper scorecard?
No, you don't. But I believe there have been some clubs in the early rounds of Pennant last year that did both. I think that that could be of an advantage, but um, it's pretty simple live scoring. Once
Yeah,
you've
I've got to admit, early days I questioned, oh, got no scorecard, and I think it's that safety blanket that we've always had.
Yep,
After a while, you do realise that the system is really good, and
yeah,
you don't need to have those scorecards. But side
no,
managers, I do suggest having some scorecards because we know that the fallback, if you can't score and you've got to have a legitimate reason there, you do go to a scorecard.
yep.
Next one from Simon was, can we be sent the slide pack? Great question. What we're going to do on the Bowls Victoria website is have all our replays and slides that you can download. So the answer is yes, Simon. Another one from Graham, how will clubs be notified by Bowls Vic if inclement hot weather is in play? Email, text, or social media, or all of these? Neil?
I believe it'll probably be all of these. It certainly will be a text to your CCOs. So you want to make sure that you've got that up to date and that your communications officer then lets the managers, selectors, or whatever know of what the situation is.
Yep. Yeah, I think this is a reminder for clubs to update all their details.
Yep.
The next one is about marquee players, Neil. If they cannot get to the game by 10 a.m. because of the change, what's going to happen there, Neil?
Yeah, good question. I suppose in that particular case, like a substitute could be used until they arrive. And when they arrive, they must go in, just as any substitute. Once they become available, then they must go back into play. Or the other option, I suppose, is to play one short, as the domestic regulations.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's something that we're going to have to manage, I think, with the big changes.
Hmm.
Another question was, can the green director stop play on a wet day, Neil?
Yes, the greenkeeper or Greens director or their deputy can stop play if they consider that the green could be damaged or it is unsafe for play. I think they have a responsibility there to look after the safety of players.
Next one's about heat. So if the 36 is reached and the game stops, do you have to wait 10 minutes before deciding those ends? I think, as we
Yeah,
mentioned there, it's going to be unlikely that that temperature goes down within 10 minutes, which would mean you
yeah,
come out and finish the end. I think you're going to be looking at a stoppage, aren't you?
yeah. I think it's very likely. I mean, I have seen situations where the interruption has been less than 10 minutes. In that situation, you carry on. But most cases, you'll find that the stoppage will be beyond the 10 minutes. And so any uncompleted ends are declared dead and replayed. And remember that a completed end is the agreement of the result as well, not just the playing of all bowls.
Yeah, good point. Um, if both Tuesday Pennant clubs agree to start at 10:30, does the home side still have to inform BV? In the COP, they do need to, don't they, Neil?
Yes, yes, they need to. I have heard of one club already that has notified their opposing clubs that they would like to play at 10:30 instead of 11, and they've all agreed to that. So it's an interesting concept there. But you need to have agreement between clubs to start at 10:30.
Yep. Is weekend pennant break still 20 minutes or is it also 30 minutes?
Well, it is really 15 minutes. We stop at, we start to stop at 2:40, and we should be back on the green at 3 o'clock. So it's really a 15-minute break, but allowing for play on 4 rings to finish, it usually allows the extra 5 minutes there.
Just going through some more questions. We've got a question about eligibility for finals. Let's have a look at that slide, Neil.
Yep.
The question is, can player A play in Divi 2 finals? My answer would be no.
No, definitely not. He's only played 2 in Division 2, none in Division 3, and he's played more than 4 in Prem and Division 1.
So they can play Divi 1 because the 2 and the 2 make 4. Because it's a lot.
Yep.
You're combining those two sides together. You can do that for lower, but they can't play Divi 2.
That's right. Yep.
Got one about consumption of alcohol. Is this only on the green and also the surrounds?
I think the umpire can only operate on the green. So the umpire can only intervene if the player is drinking on the green. Right? The surrounds are dependent upon the club licensing. While you're looking at that, I think there's a question I received was about pre-pennant practice. This year we've introduced the fact that it can be a minimum of 1 hour. So if the green is available before the 1 hour, then the home side and the visiting side can practice on the green. It's just a minimum of 1 hour.
Okay, I think we're just about at the end of it.
Yep.
Someone here's got, if the temperature falls to 35.8, do you go out again? Obviously, the answer is yes. Yes. But as soon as it gets to 36, that's the immediate stop of play.
Yep.
And then you've got, obviously, the interruption stoppage and you've got the abandoned game all coming into play. And don't forget, you've got 5 hours to finish that match. All right. Some really good questions there, Neil. I expected a lot more.
Not sure
so maybe we've done our job, Neil.
Hopefully.
All right. I've only got one more slide to go, which is support at Bowls Victoria. So if you haven't got a copy of the COP, please visit our BV website, bowlsvic.org.au. If you're looking for support within Bowls Victoria, obviously you've got our events and competitions team, Sammy Rogers at the moment. He's doing a great job, so send an email to Sammy. Obviously you've got myself, and then we've got the co-chairs of our officiating and laws committee, which you're on, Neil, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, so you've also got Neil as well. I should have had your details on there too, Neil. They're always willing to.
Yeah.
Or you rather John and Bob take them?
Yeah, I think so.
Very good. We've got one more question.
Got to remember that the laws committee is only advisory.
Yeah.
That's.
All right. The last question is not really a question. It's lots to process. Thanks, Matt and Neil. Thanks, Andrea, for that. Well,
thank you.
I thought this would go to 4 and we were 5 minutes early. What all good teachers like to do is let their students out early, Neil. So we'll finish it there. Thank you so much
Yep.
for joining us. You're a wealth of knowledge, and you've definitely helped me out, and I'm sure you've helped all our members out as well. So thank you for your time.
I hope so. Okay, thanks, Matt.
All right, everyone, we'll leave it there. Hope you've enjoyed the webinar, and good luck for the Pennant season coming up.